Hi everyone and welcome to your practice here today. For those that have not practiced me already, my name is Sarah, so welcome. Today's class has been designed around lower body exploration. So if you like to practice with props, have some blocks close by. If you don't actually have blocks, get creative, maybe use something at home that resembles one. A big water bottle or just anything that sometimes can help you find a bit of height when you're coming up into certain poses. So yeah, and as always within our classes here at ARCA, if there's anything that doesn't feel right for you, doesn't align for you, feel free to park it. You don't have to do every single pose that is given. I will give some modifications along the way and some variations, and if you ever want to add on to your practice during our classes and take extra options, always feel free to also. Beautiful. So we're going to begin our practice today on the mat, laying down. So we're starting in Supta Baddha Konasana, which is reclined butterfly. So you might like to have some blocks here for this part, because it's going to be a bit of more of a restorative beginning. So coming to draw your way all the way down to the mat. Knees are bent, feet are planted on the mat here. And then allow the knees to knock out towards the side, bringing the soles of the feet together here. And if you want to, this is where you might like to bring in the blocks, if you're using blocks. If you're not, you can even use some pillows just to support through the legs here. If you don't want to use them, feel free just to allow gravity to do its thing. And once you've come to find your setup, just maybe bringing the hands beside the body or on the body. If you want a little bit extra, you can bring the hands above the head and take hold of opposite elbows. Just taking any variation that feels good for you, coming to settle into the foundations beneath you. And once you've found your setup, coming to maybe close down the eyes or taking a soft gaze if it's there for you. Starting to tune your awareness into the breath. And today we're going to practice Samavriti breath, our even flow of breath. And then we're going to add on with a longer exhale. So initially, come to inhale for a count of 1 and exhale for a count of 2. And just staying here, inhaling count of 1, exhaling count of 1. If that doesn't feel enough for you, maybe your inhale is for a count of 1, 2. Or maybe, and your exhale is 2, 1. And once again, you can add on, you can count up to 3 and down from 3 when you inhale and exhale. Just finding a rhythm for you that works here in your even flow of breath. Using that count to guide you. And then you can either stay here with that even flow of breath, that count of breath, or you can add on here. So we're going to count in for 1, 2, and we're going to exhale for 3, 2, 1. So we're basically creating a longer exhale than the inhale. If that's too much, you can inhale for 1 and exhale for 2. Just finding 1 count longer on the exhale. It's been said that with a longer exhale we can help to slow the heart rate down. It can be very calming, it can be tension releasing. Just finding a longer exhale than your inhale. Being mindful that we're not forcing anything here, the breath is fluid. When you've done one final round, come in to allow the breath, to come to its natural rhythm one more time. Just letting go of any breath count. Just allowing the breath to come in and out of the body with its natural rhythm. And if you've closed down the eyes, come in to gently open up the eyes, inviting in your surroundings back into the body. And taking your hands underneath the backs of the thighs, giving them a little help to draw the knees into one another. Just removing any props off to one side if you took that option, and then come to extend the legs nice and long. Come to extend the arms up above the head, taking a nice full body stretch. And then on your next breath, bring the hands back down beside the body. And we're going to take the body over towards the right side of the mat. So coming to bring your body so it's on the right edge of the mat. And we're coming to find Banana Asana pose here. So bringing the hands up above the head. And to begin with, we're going to start with the feet. So we're going to take the left foot over towards the left side, and then the right foot's going to follow. And then on your next breath, we're bringing the arms in. So we're bringing the left arm over towards the left corner of the mat, and then we're bringing the right arm over towards the right corner of the mat. Maybe you take hold of the right wrist with the left arm. Maybe taking a breath here. And if you want a little bit more through the side body, through the legs, you can bring that right foot on top of the left leg. You should be feeling a nice deep stretch along the right side of the body. You can always, once again, take hold of opposite elbows here for you as well. And just being mindful here that you're not pulling the body too deep into the beginning of your practice. If you're noticing any sensations that feel uncomfortable, come out of the posture and come back into a range that feels comfortable for you. But ultimately, we are making a shape here that is like a banana. That is why it's called banana pose. Banana Asana. I'm just taking a few rounds of breath here. And on the next breath, coming back through centre, bringing, unravelling the legs, taking a nice full body stretch. And then bring the hands back down beside the body, and we're going to scoop the body over towards the left side this time. Bringing the hands above the head. So the body's on the left edge of the mat. And then we're going to take the right leg over towards the right corner of the mat, and then the left leg's going to follow. And then we're bringing the right arm over towards the right corner of the mat, and then the left arm's going to follow. Once again, just taking any variation that feels right for you. Maybe taking hold of that left arm with the right wrist. Maybe stacking the left foot over the top of the right, hooking the ankles here. Just listening to what the body wants from your perspective, from your practice. Breathing into that side body. On your next breath, coming to unravel the legs, let go of the arms, then coming back through centre. Bringing the hands back beside the body and finding yourself back into the middle of your mat. Coming to plant the feet, bend the knees. Hands beside the body. And we're going to take some pelvic tilts here. So I invite you to place your hands on the hips if that feels okay for you. It just helps the feedback. And what we're going to be working with here is tucking and lowering the pelvis. So on your next inhale, we're going to lower the we're going to lower the tailbone down towards the mat. So with your pelvic bones, you'll feel that they're starting to tip forward, and you'll notice that the lower back, there's a little bit more of an arch through the lower back. And then reversing this motion, we're tucking the tailbone under, so the hips are then drawing back towards the body, and the back then flattens to the mat, to the floor. And we're just moving between these two motions, and the movements can be very microscopic and very small for you. or they can be quite a noticeable range. Just noticing what feels good for you, whether it's a slower movement or a faster movement. And taking a couple more rounds here like so. Inviting in the breath, using that breath awareness to guide you through your movements. And then allowing the hands to come back beside the body, stopping the pelvic tilts, taking the feet out as wide as the mat, allowing the knees to knock into one another for restorative pose. And just tuning into the body, maybe noticing how the pelvic tilts felt on the pelvis and the lower back. Maybe there's something to notice, maybe there's nothing to notice. And on your next breath, drawing the feet back through centre. And we're going to find our way up into a tabletop. There's a couple of options. You could just roll off to one side, come up to find a seat and come into tabletop. Or if you want to, you can bring the hands behind the back of the knees. And just create a bit of momentum, lifting the hips off of the mat to begin with, and then rocking backwards and forwards. And just rocking up and down on the spine. And once you've found your way onto the sit bones, and coming over and finding yourself into a tabletop. So the knees are underneath the hips and the hands underneath the shoulders or thereabouts, just setting up what feels right for your range of movement here. Gaze is down towards the mat. Neutral spine, just allowing the spine to be as it is here. And then on the next breath, we're lifting the tailbone up towards the sky, drawing the stomach down towards the mat, bringing the chest through, gaze comes to the top of the mat for cow pose. And reversing this motion, pushing into the hands, tucking the tailbone under, bringing the chin towards the chest, doming through the upper back for cat pose. Just moving between these two motions, so coming into cow pose, and then reversing into cat pose. Moving with the breath. And then we're going to find ourselves in a cow pose. So once you found yourself back into cow pose, gaze is towards the top of the mat. Tailbone is lifting up towards the sky. We've got that arch through the lower back. Stomach's drawing down towards the mat. On your next breath, you're going to draw the hips back towards the heels. The gaze is still forward. And then as we draw back up, we'll bring the chin in towards the chest for cat pose. Come in to find your cow pose. Once you find cow, drawing the hips back, gaze is still towards the top of the mat. Chin towards chest, drawing up, coming to find cat pose, doming through the upper back. Come in to find cow pose, gaze is towards the top of the mat, drawing the hips back. And then come into place the forehead down towards the mat. Arms are extended out long, finding a moment of balasana for child's pose. And taking a round of breath here. And then walking the hands in towards the body. Coming to take a seat over the tops of the heels, and then coming to find yourself back on your sit bones. And we're coming to find Navasana here. We're going to be working with boat pose. So we're going to start off very regressed to begin with. And this might be where we all stay today. So bringing the knees together, feet are to touch. Knees are bent, feet are planted on towards the mat. And then we're going to lean back ever so slightly here. The hands might be around the front of the shins still. And then coming onto the tippy toes. So you might even notice already that the lower stomach turn on, the back turn on, the hip flexors turn on, and then placing the feet down. And the next thing is here, you might like to take the hands behind the back of the thighs, so between that crease behind the knee and the thigh. Taking that little lean back one more time and then coming onto the toes. If you want to add on here, maybe you extend the right leg, lifting it up parallel to the mat, placing it back down, and then come to do the same with the left. And then placing it back down. And then coming back forward, maybe giving yourself a little hug towards the knees. Just taking a moment to just acknowledge how that felt for you. And then you can either take that again, experimenting with lifting one leg and then the other, or you can bring the hands behind the back of the knees, leaning yourself back ever so slightly, allowing the chest to come forward so it's nice and open. And then you might lift the toes, or you might lift the whole entire feet off the floor. Maybe they're just hovering a centimetre. So we're just resting on our sit bones here. If you want a bit extra, if this is too easy for you, maybe you lift both legs up. And if that's still too easy, maybe you take the hands out beside the legs. Maybe palms are facing up or towards the body. And then coming back down. Giving yourself a little squeeze, a little hug. And we're going to find our way into a downward facing dog. So you can either come through tabletop, or you can come to cross over the ankles, lift the hips up and back, coming over the top of the hips for downward facing dog. Once again, if that was too much for you, you can just come through tabletop. So coming through tabletop, coming to tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Knees can have a nice generous bend here. So we're looking for a nice long spine. So if that means having really bent knees, then bending those knees. If you do struggle with downward facing dog as well, it can be a little bit tight through the hamstrings, you want a little bit of elevation, bring the blocks in and they can help as well. And placing the hands on the blocks helps to create a bit more space for you. Taking a round of breath here, maybe pedaling out the feet, straightening one leg, bending the other. And on our next breath, we're going to walk the hands towards the back of the mat to find forward fold. And that might be that your forward fold is the knees are really bent, elbows are coming towards the thighs. Maybe hands to blocks, fingertips or palms to mat. Once again, inviting that generous bend in the knees here, allowing the head and neck to hang heavy. And then grounding down through the big toe, the little toe, the heel, really firming your weight into the feet. Bring the chin in towards the chest. Allow the body to come up nice and slowly. The arms are hanging heavy in front of you like a rag doll. Chin will be the last thing to come up as we come up to rise. Circling the arms out wide beside the body. Coming up above the head. Palms might meet. And then drawing them down through heart center. Taking a moment with the heart center for Anjali Mudra. And bringing them beside the body for Tadasana pose. Mountain pose. Just taking a moment to notice the breath here. And then bringing the hands back up towards the sky, the palms meet. I'm going to draw them down through heart center and bend the knees, fold over the tops of the thighs. On your next breath, come to bring the hands towards the shins, straighten the legs, back is parallel towards the mat, gaze is down for halfway lift. And come into frame the feet. We're going to walk the hands out, come to find plank pose. I'm going to gently bring the knees down towards the mat, untuck the toes, and then come to lower the body all the way down towards the mat. Hands are beside the rib cage, elbows are energetically drawing in towards the body, firming down into the tops of the feet. On your next breath, come to lift the head, lift the chest for baby cobra. Gaze is still down to the mat. And on your next breath, coming back down. Pushing into the hands, coming up through tabletop, and then coming to tuck the toes and lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. On your next breath, coming to extend that right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. So the leg is hovering about hip height, toes can flex or point to find that engagement through the right leg. I'm going to bend that knee and bring the knee towards the chest. So we're coming forward for a variation of plank with the knee hovering, and step that foot through. So we're coming into a low lunge here. Once again, if you want some blocks to give you a bit of extra height, feel free to incorporate them in here. Placing that left hand down towards the mat or to a block, bringing that right hand out towards the side to shoulder height, and then we're going to twist over towards the right side, sending that right arm up towards the sky. And then coming to find that low lunge. Okay, taking a breath here. And then sending that right arm back up towards the sky again. And then bringing the right hand back down for low lunge. Taking that one more time. Send that right arm back up towards the sky, twisting over towards the right leg, the right side. Before bringing that hand back down, framing that right foot, and then stepping the right foot back to meet the left. Bringing the knees down towards the mat, and then lowering yourselves all the way down. Untucking the toes, bringing the hands beside the rib cage, firming down through the tops of the feet on your inhale, lifting the head, lifting the chest for baby cobra. Coming to lower the head, lower the chest, pushing down through tabletop, and then tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Taking a round of breath here. On your next breath, coming to extend that left leg, back behind you for three-legged dog. Either flexing or pointing the toes to find that engagement, switching on the leg. Bending the knee, bringing the knee towards the chest, stepping that foot through, coming to find low lunge. Placing that right hand down onto the mat or onto a block, taking the left arm out towards the side for shoulder height. And then turning the body to the left side, bringing that left arm up towards the sky for a low lunge twist. Bringing the hand back down, coming to find low lunge. Sending the arm back up towards the sky, left arm back up towards the sky for low lunge twist. Back down to low lunge. And just taking that one more time in your own round. Coming to find low lunge twist. And then coming back down for low lunge. Thumbing down through both hands, framing the left foot, coming to step the left foot back to meet the right, lowering the knees, coming to untuck the toes, lowering the body all the way down towards the mat. Hands beside the body, firming down through the tops of the feet on your next breath, coming to lift the head, lift the chest for baby cobra. And then coming to place the head, chest back down, pushing into the hands, lifting yourself up, and then bringing the hips back towards the heels for child's pose. Just taking a round of breath here. And then when you're ready, finding yourself back into a downward facing dog. So maybe coming to start from tabletop, tucking the toes, and then lifting the hips up and back for down dog. Gazes between the legs towards the back of the room. And the next breath, tiptoeing your way towards the top of the mat, coming to find forward fold. Whatever variation feels good for you. From your forward fold, firming down into the big toe, little toe, the heel of the foot. Really finding that buoyancy through the knees, coming up to rise, circling the arms out nice and wide, drawing them up above the head as the palms meet, drawing them through heart center. Bringing the hands beside the body for Tadasana. Bringing the hands back above the head as the palms draw down through heart center, going to fold over the tops of the thighs. Come to bring the hands to the shins, straight legs, back is parallel towards the mat, body's parallel to find halfway lift. Come to frame the feet and then step that right foot back. Very gently, we're going to lower that back leg down towards the mat, untuck those right toes, and then coming up to rise for low lunge. If you want some support, you can come up onto the blocks, or you can bring the hands towards the knee to help you come up. Either bringing the hands up towards the sky, maybe hands to hips or heart center. Taking a moment to notice the breath in your half lunge, your low lunge. Coming to frame that front foot, tucking the back toes, lifting that back knee, and then we're going to step that left foot back to meet the right foot. Come to lower the knees down towards the mat, untuck the toes, and then lowering the body all the way down. Drawing the elbows in towards the body, Firming down for the tops of the feet. Come to lift the head, lift the chest, baby cobra. And come to lower the head back down, chest back down. Pushing up through tabletop. Coming to lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Taking a round of breath here. And then sending that right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. Bending the knee and then bringing the knee towards the chest. Stepping that right foot through. Giving it a little helping hand with the right hand if it needs it. Before gently lowering that left knee down. Untucking the left toes and coming up to low lunge. Taking a round of breath here. And then coming to use these blocks if you want to frame. Actually, let's all use some props if we have them to frame that right foot. And we're going to draw the hips back. And as we draw the hips back, the toes are going to peel off of the mat for half splits. I'm going to move between these two motions. So we're coming back into low lunge. Bending that front knee. Drawing the hips back, straightening the leg, drawing the right toes up towards the face for half splits. And just taking one more round like so. We'll all find our way back into a low lunge. And once you're in your low lunge, coming to tuck those back toes, those left toes under. Really finding a sense of engagement, squeezing through that left hip, that left glute. And on your next breath, we're going to hover the toes off the mat. So we're drawing the left heel towards the glute. If that feels too much for you, you can take hold of the foot. If that feels too much for you, come to lower that back leg down. It can get a bit crampy. And then we're going to heel toe that, come to untuck the left toes and then come to heel toe that right foot out towards the edge of the mat. We're bringing both hands on the inside of that right foot. Once again, if you want some props, you want some blocks to elevate yourself, you can. We're coming to find lizard lunge here. So we've got that right knee hugging into the right shoulder. And on the next breath, coming to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. I'm going to place that back down, untuck the toes, and just taking that one more time, coming to tuck the toes and lift the back knee. And then lowering that knee down, untucking the toes, and taking a round of breath here in lizard. If you want to go a bit deeper in this pose, you can always come to bring the forearms down towards a block, or bring the forearms all the way down to the mat. Just listening to your body here. And on the next breath, we're going to walk, heel toe that foot back into the center, framing the foot with both hands. And then bringing your awareness into your left leg, we're going to kickstand the left foot, so the left calf, over towards the right edge of the mat. Bringing the block into the right inside seam of the foot. Bringing your right hand onto that block or onto the floor if you're using that. And we're going to send the left arm up towards the sky for a variation of side angle. And then coming to frame the foot, turn the toes, turn everything to face the front of the mat again. And then coming to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee for runner's lunge. Really firming down through both feet, finding that sense of buoyancy, that sense of stability and grounding before we come up. And once you've found that, coming up to rise. Bringing the hands either above the head, or maybe they're coming to heart center or to the hips. And if your crescent lunge does feel a little bit wobbly, a bit unstable, maybe taking a more narrow stance in your crescent lunge. And then on your next breath, we're going to straighten through the front leg. As we do so, we're coming just ever so forward over the top of the thigh, and the arms are going to come back behind us. So almost we're like imagine you're an arrow, like an arrowhead. Bending back through that knee. As you bend back through that knee, arms come up to rise for crescent lunge. And we're going to flow here 3 more times. Straightening through the front leg as we come over the top of the thigh, send the hands back behind you. Almost bowing. And then coming up again, bending that front knee, hands are up towards the sky. Taking 2 more rounds in your own time, using your own breath to guide you. Well, we're going to meet in a crescent lunge. Once you've found your way into a crescent lunge, come into frame that right foot and then stepping the right foot back to meet the left foot. Either go in to find Balasana, child's pose, or come to find a round of flow. If you know where you're going, please feel free to go there. If not, you would be coming up into down dog, coming through plank, lowering the knees, and coming to find yourself down towards the mat, finding baby cobra. We'll all meet in a child's pose. On your next breath, we're all going to come to meet back into downward facing dog, coming through tabletop, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back. On your next breath, we're going to tiptoe our way towards the top of the mat, finding yourself in your forward fold. Taking a round of breath. Really thumbing down through the feet, grounding down, coming up to rise, taking the arms out, circling them wide. As they come over the head, palms might meet, and then drawing them down through heart center. Bring the hands beside the body for Tadasana. On your next breath, bring the hands back up above the head, palms meet as they draw down through heart center, folding over the tops of the thighs. Finding forward fold. Coming to bring the hands towards the shins, straight legs flat back for halfway lift. Coming to frame the feet and then stepping that left foot back, coming to lower the knee down towards the mat, untucking the toes and coming up to rise for low lunge. Taking any variation here of the arms, maybe hands to heart center, cactus, hands to the hips or above the head. And then coming to frame that right foot, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee and stepping that left foot back for plank. Lowering the knees down towards the mat, untucking the toes and coming to lower the body all the way down. Energetically drawing the elbows in towards the body, thumbing down through the hands, through the tops of the feet. As you come up on your inhale, lifting the head, lifting the chest for baby cobra. And coming to lower the head, lower the chest, pushing down into tabletop, pushing back up into tabletop, tucking the toes and lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Taking a round of breath here. On your next breath, coming to extend that left leg back behind you for three-legged dog. Bending the knee, bringing the knee towards the chest. Step that foot through. If it needs a helping hand, then help it along the way. Coming to lower that back knee down towards the mat, untucking the toes, coming up to rise on your inhale for low lunge. Taking any arm variation. Once again, having those blocks or props close by if you're using them. From your low lunge, we're going to draw the hips back towards the heels. As they do so, we're peeling the left toes off of the mat, drawing them towards the face for half splits. Planting the foot back down, bending through the knee, coming to find low lunge. Taking that 2 more times in your own breath, drawing the hips back, straightening the leg, drawing the toes towards the face. Bending through the knee. Taking 1 more round. Beautiful. Once you find yourself in your low lunge, coming to tuck the back toes. On your next breath, we're going to you can either stay here like this, or you can come to hover the toes ever so slightly off the back of the mat, or you can draw the right heel towards right glute. You can even take hold if you want a more passive variation of the right foot with the right hand. If you have taken a hold of the foot, be mindful not to let it just fling back. Try to find that control as we lower the toes back down towards the mat. And then we're coming to heel toe that left foot out towards the left side of the mat. Hands are coming on the inside of the left leg. You might be elevated up on blocks here. And the left shoulder is inside of the left knee for lizard lunge. Taking a round of breath here. On your next breath, coming to tuck those back toes if they're not already. Lift the back knee. Coming to lower the back knee, untuck the toes. Coming to tuck the toes, lift the back knee. And then coming to lower that back knee and untuck the toes. Going to take a round of breath here in lizard. If you want to go a bit more passive, maybe bring the hands, the elbows to the block or down towards the mat, or staying where you are. On your next breath, coming back up if you've come down onto the elbows, heel toe in that left foot back through center, coming to frame the foot with both hands. And this time we're coming to kickstand the right leg over towards the left side of the mat. Bring in the block or just your palm or your hand on the inside of the left foot. We're going to send that right arm up towards the right sky, towards the sky for a variation of side angle. And bring the hand back down, coming back through center, coming to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, coming to find yourself in a runner's lunge. Once again, if you want them blocks here to help give you a bit of height, feel free to use them. Find that buoyancy in the legs, find yourself with an even distribution of weight between right foot and left foot before coming up to rise for crescent lunge. The hands might float up towards the sky, front knee is bent, back leg is straight. Maybe with a little micro bend in the knee to find that buoyancy and stability through the legs. On your next breath, if the hands aren't up towards the sky, bringing them above the head. On your next breath, we're going to straighten the leg, bring the body over the top of the thigh as the hands come back behind the body. So the palms are facing down. Bringing the hands back up towards the sky, bending through that front knee for crescent lunge. Taking 2 more rounds, straightening through that leg, bring the body over the top of the thigh, and bring the hands back behind the body. And taking 1 more round. Then coming to frame that front foot, step the left foot back to meet the right foot, and lower the knees. And bring the hips back towards the heels and send the hands this time to the back of the room. Coming to find child's pose with the knees together. And taking 3 rounds of breath here. On your final round of breath, there is no rush. Coming up to find a seat, we're all going to sit on the sit bones. Come to find yourself so that you're seated on the sit bones, but the knees are bent and feet are planted. They're a bit wider than hip width. And then on the next breath, we're going to take the knees over towards the right side so that we've got like a kind of 90-90 going on with the legs. By 90, I mean 90 degrees, but not necessarily will they be that way. And then I invite you to just draw that right heel in towards the groin a little bit closer, if that's accessible for you. And on your next breath, coming to lift the hands up towards the sky. On your next breath, we're going to bring the right hand over towards the left leg. Left hand comes behind us for a twisted deer pose. On your next breath, sending the hands up towards the sky and just bringing them in front of you here. Maybe taking a moment to just notice the breath, tune into the breath. Bringing the hands back behind you, and we're coming back up through center. Maybe you want to release through the hips a little bit here. Just take some window wipers side to side, bringing in a bit more movement. And then next time you're coming over towards the left with the legs this time, allowing the legs to stay there. Maybe you draw that left heel in towards the groin a little bit more. And then sending the arms up towards the sky. And then we're bringing the right hand over towards the left knee this time. Left hand comes back behind us. Taking a round breath. And drawing the hands back up through centre, bringing them back behind us and just rebounding, taking some little window wipers side to side here. And we're going to find ourselves in a Baddha Konasana. So that was the exact same way that we started practice today, but we started reclined. So once again, if you want some blocks, you want some props, even if you've got a big pillow that you can use, it's quite nice to put in between the legs. So we're going to come to create a diamond shape with our legs. So bringing the soles of the feet together. We're sitting up nice and tall. Maybe if you're using pillows, props, blocks, whatever, you're coming to place them underneath the thighs, underneath the knees if you want it a little bit higher. And this might be where you want to stay. Maybe the hands are resting on the ankles, maybe they're resting away from the body. And if you want something a little bit more, you can bring the hands so that they're placed on the ankles or the calves. Maybe the elbows are just resting in the creases of the knees. Maybe you come forward ever so slightly. I'm going to be here for 3 to 4 rounds of breath. On your next breath, coming to draw back up through centre, bringing the hands underneath the thighs, allowing them to help guide the knees back into one another. Just removing any props out of the way, keeping them close by just in case you want them a little bit later on, and then bringing yourself so that we are laying all the way down onto the mat. Knees are still bent, feet are still planted onto the mat. Maybe taking the feet out wide, allowing the knees to knock into one another, just taking a moment of restorative pose. And if you took that option, heel toeing the feet back into one another, taking the feet so they're at hip width apart, and then scooting the glutes so that the butt is a little bit closer towards the heels. Coming to place the hands beside the body, palms are facing down. Start to really ground into the heel, into the big toe, the little toe. And subtly start to draw the chin towards the chest, so you're creating that length through the back of the neck. On your next breath, we're coming to tuck the tailbone under slightly and come to lift the hips for bridge pose. Maybe imagine you've got a block in between the legs there to help with that engagement. Being mindful that we're not allowing the legs to just flail out to the sides. If you want that feedback, maybe bring in that block actually in between the thighs or a prop so that you can find that feedback. And we're going to come to lower the hips back down. And we're going to take one more option, and there's a couple of options you can take here. You can either take that active version again, so lifting the hips up towards the sky, thumbing down through the feet, or if you want something a little bit more restorative, you can bring the block underneath the sacrum or a pillow and allow the hips to soften down here. Coming to find a more passive version of bridge pose. If you want even extra here, you can extend the legs out long in front of you. Just being mindful of the lower back, that if it doesn't feel very comfortable, honouring that that might be a little bit too deep. And then coming to lower the hips down if you're not in a supported bridge. On your next breath, we're going to draw both knees in towards the chest and give them a little squeeze. If you're on a block, it might be that the legs aren't that close to you, so The hands can just rest on the knees. And then we're all going to extend the legs up towards the ceiling, allowing the legs to just kind of hang in the air for waterfall pose. Maybe you give the legs a little wiggle and a jiggle backwards and forwards, side to side, before coming to find some stillness, allowing the legs just to hang in mid-air. If you want to, you can even add in the arms. Taking a few rounds of breath here. And when you're ready, coming to place the feet down towards the mat. If you've got a block underneath your hips, coming to remove that. And then coming to extend the legs out long, taking the arms beside the body. Setting up for your final pose, your final resting pose. Just really taking a moment to tune into the body, to tune into how it feels here, how you've set up. Allowing the feet to roll out towards the side, allowing the feet to be heavy. Maybe you want to walk the shoulder blades underneath the shoulders, creating a little shelf for the heart. Maybe you invite in a prop underneath the back of the knees, just finding a nice setup here for your final resting pose. And once you find that setup, coming to maybe close down the eyes or take a soft gaze. Coming to invite in an inhale through the nose if it's there for you. Sign it out through the mouth. Allowing yourself to soften into the foundations beneath you. If that felt good, maybe taking 2 more rounds like so. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale, sighing it out through the mouth. And coming to find your final resting pose. When it's time to finish the practice here today, I will guide you up to a seat. Until then, Shavasana. And slowly start to bring some awareness back to the body. Start to wiggle the fingers, the toes. Maybe extending that movement into the wrists, into the ankles. And bringing the legs together, sending the arms up above the head, taking a nice full body stretch here. And coming to roll over to one side, taking a round of breath here. Before coming up to rise to find a seat. Still maintaining that soft gaze or close of the eyes. And drawing the hands to heart center, or maybe placing one hand on the heart, one hand on the stomach. And bringing the chin in towards the chest, taking a moment to bow to yourself. Taking a moment to acknowledge your practice here today. All of your beautiful efforts, your beautiful awareness, and your beautiful service to yourself here. And deepest gratitude to each of you for your practice. Namaste. And thank you so much for allowing me to guide you here today, guys. I hope you have a wonderful week and can't wait to see you on the mat again. Take care. Bye.